Welcome to Spirited Straight Talk, the podcast to help you thrive with the help of spirit. I'm Deb Shepard, psychic medium, spiritual teacher, and author. Each week, I bring new insights to help you heal from loss, connect with spirit, and turn setbacks into triumphs. So let's get started. I have dealt with depression, huge part of my life. I think it probably runs in the family, even though people are always in denial. But I know when I started really recognizing depression was during, started in fall and the winter, and there is, seasonal depression. Mm-hmm. And I took a lot of medications to help that, which I am totally for and supportive of if anyone needs that. So I know there's things, pros and cons, but I do believe if you need something for yourself, then go ahead and take it. But over the last year or so, I've stopped taking my medications, but still look at the fact that during the fall and winter, it can still come on, and to really pay attention. And I know this happens for so many individuals, and especially those that are highly sensitive. Maybe they've had some losses and grief on top of it. And I wanted to address this time of year for everyone to know that you're not alone, first of all, and there are things that you can do. And a couple of them I was like, I'm not sure about, but it's because I like to do them. So we'll talk about those things. But if you're that person that just feels like, hey, the days are shorter, it's getting darker quicker.
Yeah,
it's hard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And of course, now here in Colorado, we're getting snow, mm-hmm. and that really,
the cold,
takes us into that hibernation. Holidays are around the corner. So it really shifts people's energy. And I did not really understand or recognize, we didn't talk about this, years ago, that this was something that many people deal with. And I know I've lived in places that were very cloudy, mm-hmm. Many rainy days. And I think that can affect a lot of people. So they,
right. Not enough sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I have a family member, my aunt, to be specific, she lost her daughter right around the holidays. Mm. And so I know for her, the holidays, I don't think it's as much anymore because it has been a long time, and I know your grief changes over the years, but I remember her going into a deep depression every holiday season for years because the loss of her daughter happened around that time, and it was very tough for her.
Absolutely. And even if you haven't had a loved one pass during the holidays, I think we kind of go within and don't get out as often. We don't have the distractions that we normally would do during the summer and other times. And I love fall. I mean, to me, fall in Colorado is just beautiful. But
I like that first 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of autumn when the leaves change before everything starts falling off.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it starts to get barren, I'm like, oh.
But I like, I even like wearing, here's a sweater, not the coats and have to bundle up that we do here in Colorado. If you're in other states, you don't have that sort of energy. But here in Colorado, many other states, it really does change. But I want people to know that they can talk about this and not to feel they're alone or it's wrong or it's bad or where you go. And when I started realizing that this was something that came on, and I would really feel like, man, I can't get out of bed, or, I can't really do things, and felt very sad. That medication did really help that. Mm-hmm. And now I, use other methods to be able to understand these things. Mm-hmm. And I've got you to kind of keep me going and get me going. And
I'm awesome.
Yeah, so. You're awesome. No, but it's having someone motivate you and cheer you on and have some direction and have projects. I think we need to have things to keep us motivated and distracted from the season. But I think there's layers to this time of year. And one of the people I talked to a long time ago said, well, September usually, I think the kids start school earlier now, but when I was growing up, in the 1800s, we started schools like in September in fall. And so it was that time of year where there was change and new beginnings. And if you don't have anything new going on, I didn't realize that our bodies sort of were in this routine that if we had nothing new going on or there wasn't this new experience, we sort of had this letdown. And when I recognize those things, like, are you planning something? Are you doing something for yourself to kind of keep that rhythm going? So there's a piece of that too, of where our bodies have a natural rhythm that we've had for years.
But it's fascinating because you talk about school and new things going on, but I remember being in high school and September would hit and I would feel very down, very depressed in September when new things were going on.
So for you, it was the opposite.
It's interesting.
So I think it's just recognizing for anyone that goes, oh, that's why I feel like dumped down in the dumps, or I'm feeling very, sad, or I want to sleep a lot, or those kind of things are not motivated. These could be part of those reasons. And so us addressing this time of year was say, hey, you're not alone. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of us that feel that way. And it doesn't mean anything is terribly wrong, but to address what you need.
I remember, and you might talk about this also, but I remember one thing that it was actually your neurologist said when we started going to see him. One of the things we're addressing is energy, like getting up in the morning, that type of energy, physical energy. And one of the things they said is you get up before 9 a.m., go outside for 15 minutes, let your eyes, your retina basically hit with the sunlight, because that changes your body's rhythm, your circadian rhythm. It actually changes your body.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, very cool.
Well, you think about
affects us, yeah.
The way we were designed from a long time ago, before we did office work and, in our homes all the time, people were on their farms. They were out feeding the animals. They were out, gathering the eggs and things like that. So people were naturally already outside. Now we're having to be told, because we go right to our computer. Yeah. We go right to our phone. We go right to technology. And our bodies are like, this is messing up my rhythms. And one of the things I did not realize until I was doing a little bit of this research, vitamin D, which is from the sun, is actually a hormone. And I'm assuming that because I, Googled it, it must be true. So if anyone says that that's not true, please let me know. But that's what I was reading. I'm like, I never, compared those things. And I think part of it is our body has a rhythm that the planet and the universe all comes together. And we've taken ourselves out of that rhythm. So our bodies are recognizing that and are talking to us, they're speaking to us, saying, hey, this doesn't feel right. Well, because we've taken ourselves out of the normal rhythm from the beginning of time, even though I don't want to go back to the 1800s. But with that said, it's the natural part of we go back to that. And, the stuff that we're going to be talking about is what our bodies need naturally. So this is a rocket science sort of epiphany for anyone, but also it's reminding ourselves what we can do and to recognize this and not go down that rabbit hole too deep. And I think a lot of us can go in so deep, it's hard to get ourselves out. And that's the point of this, is to recognize it, make those changes, plan the days as you move forward.
From a spiritual perspective, obviously you're going to share some of that too, like what we can do from a mindfulness. And I'm sure meditation plays a part in this too, as far as getting
well, even thinking about when we're going to use the word down in the dumps, depression, whatever that word you want to use, affects our inability to connect with our guides, connect with our loved ones, connect with our higher selves. And so it's harder for us to pull ourselves out of those things. So the mindfulness is if you want to stay in that connection and you want to be at that higher vibration, is know that if you're one of those people that go into the depression, I mean, some people, they're skiers, they love being outdoors during the cold weather. The, short days is not a big deal for them, but for others, it affects, and I didn't pull up the numbers, but it affects a lot of people. So even if you're in a sunny state like, San Diego, or, where you're in Florida or somewhere like that, where it's always sunny, you're still going to be having shorter days. The weather's going to change. People's emotions are going to change and things like that. And you're going to be responding to those things as well. One of the big things is controlling stress. And I think that could mean controlling stress is throughout your entire life. However, if this time of year, you have more depression, or those times where you just feel like you just are not motivated, it's allowing stress not to overwhelm you. Because for some people like myself, during those times, I would completely shut down. And that you're like, wow, shut down. I just want to go to bed and put the, blankets over my head, and that's not going to be productive. So how do you control the stress and monitor it so you're not feeling overwhelmed that the first thing you want to do is shut everything down? And I think what's important, and you certainly brought this, is to have some playfulness in between. Where's the fun? Where is the relaxation? Where is it getting out in nature? Be able to deal with your self-care, stress, self-care. Yeah.
Getting out though too is, I think for me, huge getting out in the sun. Like when I notice that I'm feeling like overwhelmed or whatever, that's stress. Or when I notice that you are feeling down or something, my go-to is let's go outside. Let's get out in the sun.
Well, even when you knew the snowstorm was coming, you went out there and actively cleaned the deck. I mean, all that activity, which is exercise. And for me, the last thing I want to do is, oh, what do I do? I want to pout and cry and not go out there. And you're like, come on. And so if you don't have that person in your life, it's how do you find someone to get that motivation? Make the date with somebody to get yourself out there and power through it. But I think what's happening during this time of year, because the days are shorter, if you're working a big job and you have kids and you have responsibilities, how do you find the time to be in that outdoor area? And so if you have lunch, if you have a break, get outside, do a little bit of walking, bundle up, and find a way to connect with with Mother Earth.
Or I even will go to it's indoors. I have to drive there, but I'll go to the rec center and walk because that activity is important.
It is. Our bodies need it. And so, that's we'd go back to exercise. And, I'm so motivated in the exercise area too.
So that is another tool, right? Exercise. I'm like, getting there.
Yeah, I'm looking at these things going, like these are the things we need. It's just how do we do them and get ourselves out of our own head? And when you are feeling down and sad. And I want to explain this too. When you're a sensitive person, growing up, I was told over the years, oh, you're so sensitive. Quit crying, buckle up, buttercup, all those different things. Well, as I joke, I get paid to be that sensitive soul. So when we look at the seasons and the time of year and what happens, I have to work twice as hard to get out of that arena of poor me and how this feels. And sometimes it's even difficult to describe it, but it's really, how do you push yourself out of that shutting down feeling and feeling sad to get yourself back out here. And these are, me, this is not easy stuff for me.
No.
So if you're wanting to like, oh, I don't want to exercise. I know this. I don't want to get,
I want to get outside.
I get you. So everyone needs a Dana. One of them was avoid smoking. We're not smokers, but anyone out there, I'm not here to tell anyone not to smoke or things like that, but just look at that.
What does smoking do? Like, why is it?
It affects, again, your health. It causes insomnia. It causes all these other issues. And so you're now dealing with additional things on top of how you feel.
Your heart rate. And
yeah, there you go. And I think when people are depressed, smoking and our go-tos I think we go to them more. I mean, I know I will do that. I'll go to those things more. So I'm not going to be sitting here standing on a, crate telling you not to smoke, but I think if you can cut back at all, that would certainly be something that would be a benefit.
Gotcha.
This is one I didn't want to agree with, but I think it was advisable. Restrict your sleep, because the first thing you want to do in this time of year is you want to sleep. Even said avoid napping. I mean, that is like one of my top of my thing. I think I need to take a nap. And so it's almost like going against everything you believe in or that you normally do. Is how do you shift the things that you've been doing to get yourself out of the funk? And I think it's about also rewarding yourself about, hey, I'm going to get a lot done. Maybe it's putting a project of things of, this is your time to clean out that closet to feel you're getting stuff done. Get motivated in other ways. Those inside projects that you haven't been able to do because you've been outdoors all year. This is a time to look at those projects. You're giving me the kind of a look.
The look was question marks. No, restricting your sleep. I mean, it makes sense. I think the thing is since the days are shorter, you're almost going to bed earlier.
Yeah.
And if you take a nap, you're screwing up your sleep. And lately, I feel like I've been up at 3 a.m. every single day from 3 to like 5. So I feel like my sleep is really jacked up. So I have to listen, even just to get that rhythm back in place is getting outdoors in the morning early again.
I hear so many people go, oh, I stayed up so late. I'm like, we don't realize how sleep is vital to the functioning of our everyday life and how our brains are able to comprehend whatever task, especially if there's stress. If we have stress and we are not getting sleep. And what's really interesting, when you're not sleeping, when you have stress and you're not sleeping, the stress feels more impacted. You just feel more overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And we're grumpy. We're grumpy. I'm sorry.
Really grumpy.
Yeah, you do. Sleep. Let's have a talk about that one.
I do. I know I do. I'm like, just don't stress me out right now because I didn't sleep well.
And we have what's called an aura ring that tells us, which is good. It tells us how we slept, how recovery, what kind of day it's going to be. And part of that, and if anyone's going, what does she say? It's an OURA ring. And it it tells you about your oxygen levels and how much you slept and if you went to sleep on time.
To
wellness, yeah. Mm-hmm. And basically to know what you're dealing with. And I think it helps us understand during the day what task we can handle and manage, but sometimes you can't, but at least you understand your frustrations and things like that. And again, all of this is related to this time of year, seasonal depression. So many people deal with it. Don't be ashamed of it, and figuring out ways to shift it. I think the other thing is eating what to eat. I want comfort food during this time of year. I just want to, sit down. Oh, yeah.
Baked potatoes.
Yeah. And I think there's nothing wrong with eating
chowder.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with eating some of those comfort foods, but watching, of course, the sugars, how that can affect. We want to be more lethargic when we eat that kind of food. We want to take a nap, and we're doing the reverse thing. So just be aware. I mean, I'm sorry, when it's snowing outside, the last thing I want is a salad. But
that's probably the best thing for you.
But really, paying attention throughout the week or day, what you're eating, what your intake is, what is it going to do to you, and what is your motivation behind it. Caffeine, I know that you certainly like the caffeine.
I will have, and I want to pull back on caffeine. I know there are some benefits to caffeine.
Oh, absolutely. That's what they said. This is a good thing. Yeah.
But I can't have it past 11 a.m.
So know your time, because here it was talking about 2. And for you, it's 11 a.m. That's it.
If I have it any later than 10 or 11 a.m., it messes up my body, my cycle with going to bed and all that stuff. So yeah, you definitely, and I really kind of consume like a half a cup of coffee a day, maybe.
I think both of us do. I've been drinking coffee more lately, maybe because it is this time of year. Maybe
but it still is only a cup.
Yeah, or less.
So.
But I think that goes back to the food too. What is the food you're eating with the coffee? You don't want the donut in the coffee. Really. Well, I do, but
what do you mean you don't want?
I desire it. It's just like the outside of the glaze, right? But it's also the chocolates or things like that can affect us. So if you're having the caffeine, watch what's in it as well. Next one, limit alcohol. I want to have that cocktail before, later. It is important because this is going to be a holiday season. People are going to do a lot of celebrations, things like that. So alcohol will be partaking in a lot of this time of year.
It's interesting though, because alcohol is a depressant.
It is.
And so it's just, we know that it is toxic to the body. We know that. And that makes perfect sense. And I know from my Aura Ring, the wellness tracker, when I have a glass of wine at night, I don't sleep as well. And my heart rate is up for half the night. So that's the one does affect you.
I kind of ignore that one. No, just kidding. No, but I was thinking back, I don't drink hardly at all the way I used to drink. And that's being really honest. And during the times I had a lot of depression, there's a lot of drink because it's dark earlier. So I'm going to have a cocktail, whatever. I think we have these go-tos, having a cocktail at lunch or, after dinner. These things can add into the depression that if you're trying to get out of it, just to recognize these things. And I don't think you have to cut everything out of your life and change everything, but do the things that you can find that will benefit you and what's going to serve you. Because if you're really not wanting to deal with that sadness and heaviness that we're going through and not feeling motivated, then what things do you choose to do to shift that? And then, of course, we know about drinking water. It's the life source and having positive energy in there. And if you're not a water drinker, finding things that's going to help you, that could be putting flavors in it that don't have the sugar, but something in it, having even a race with someone about how much they're drinking. What are you laughing about, me?
Racing, because I remember you bought the bottles that flashed at you to drink water. They didn't work, but we tried.
Yeah, we tried. And part of it was just to remind ourselves, because we're not big water drinkers all the time. And I don't want to drink it out of a plastic bottle. So,
Well, we have our glass bottles, which I really like.
Yeah.
The VitaJewel.
That we put on our...
That you offer in your store. But the VitaJewel, it
changes the taste of the water.
And it changes the energy of the water. So the water you're drinking is actually positively charged.
Yes, and it does. I mean, when I go and say, okay, I'm drinking this water, I do feel differently with it. And all of this is about the mindfulness of what are you doing because winter's going to be on for a few months. We have fall and winter. It's going to be darker. What are you going to do with that energy the next several months? Are you going to go down that rabbit hole and just say, oh, this is the time of year I feel really sad? Or are you going to do something that's going to shift that? And I think it's important to have some goals during this time of year. I mean, we can get really distracted with holidays, grief, responsibilities. Sometimes people have the end of the year kind of stuff that's, wrapping up, whether it's quotas or taxes and things like that. But if you put some things in there that feed your soul, so if it's learning to meditate differently or doing some feng shui, we'd love to go and do some things in your home and environment. Maybe it's taking a class online that you say, okay, at 7:00, even though it's been dark for 2 hours, I'm going to take this class because it's going to energize me. It's going to give me some brain food to keep me going.
Speaking of which, you have one of your classes that you're going to be offering online here really soon. It's the 30-day shift, which is all of those pieces. I completely forgot about that until you said that. It teaches you how to shift your energy through your chakras, through using feng shui, through meditation. It's all of those pieces that will help you shift your energy.
And what a good time of year. I hear, I'm so busy during summer and the kids are off or we're traveling. We got this going on. So make this time for you to be more mindful of what your needs are. And if you are one of those individuals that this time of year really takes you down that impacts you like it has me over the years. It's how do you then shift and change it? And what are you going to do differently this year? Because wouldn't it be nice by the end of this year, you're like, this was so different. I didn't have the times I had in the previous years. I can look at this and go, look what I've accomplished. And all of us want to feel successful. We want to feel peace. We want to feel that we're contributing to our lives. And when we actually participate, it does change. I mean, that's the whole thing is what we think, what we feel, all of that energy shifts. And for most people that come see me, they want to hear from their loved ones. They want to hear from your guides. This is how you do it. Sounds like a song. This is how you do it, right? I can't sing. It's taking these tools. And again, you can get overwhelmed by thinking, I don't know if I can do all this. Pick the one or two top things that you're capable of shifting and changing. Start using those things like, okay, I don't want to take a nap during the day. Maybe I drink more water today. Make them simple. Maybe in the next week, you start going, I'm going to do a little bit more exercise, or I'm going to take Deb Shepherd's class. Whatever those things are to kind of keep you motivated, you're going to feel lighter. You're going to be excited. This time of year, it's not going to be always that, downer for you, the Debbie Downers. Right. We don't want that.
So for your class, jump on the website for those of you out there who want to take a look at this class as soon as it comes out. It's a brand new class, but you can get on the wait list through the website under the courses tab. Just sign up for the wait list for the 30-day shift, and that'll be out here really soon to help.
It's one of my favorite classes because we incorporate a lot of modalities that you can incorporate. And if you've already done a couple of things that I teach, there's always something new. Even when I'm teaching, every time I've taught any of these things, I learn something new all the time. So make sure that you check out the courses, and we look forward to seeing you, and have a great fall and winter. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope it inspired you. If you enjoyed our conversation, make sure you subscribe so that you get notified of new episodes. And let's get connected. Visit debshepherd.com for more insights, support, workshops, and to book a session with me. And finally, always remember, your loved ones in spirit are just a thought away. Even though they're on the other side, they're always by your side.